it's now time to start reviewing the data available to us. This is when we start our mathematical approach to understanding how audiences are using our website and how they're both engaging with our specific marketing channels. So if it's social media, if it's PPC, if it's digital PR, if it's SEO, we can start to understand how they're using it. So at Friel, we use a platform called Google Analytics to get a view of our website performance. We utilize social media tools such as Facebook Analytics and LinkedIn Insights, again, to monitor our channel performance. Or for our digital PR aspect, we use things like Vuelio or Gorkana to understand the impact of our campaigns, to see who's opened our press releases and to see our press releases out in the wild, to understand the impact and how many readers are seeing it. The data also helps us approach our future campaigns, and it helps us do that in a much smarter way. As we now have informed first-hand data about the performance of our content. So what we do is we use a thing called A/B split testing. And this is the process of creating variations of an ad, running them all at the same time and seeing which one performs best. Again, we're using the mathematics to understand the various aspects of what's working well. Is it the headline? Is it the offer? Is it the caption? There's all these sort of variations of an ad structure that can be controlled, and it's about understanding what's working, what's getting more clicks. Is it a case of a price discount that's getting clicks? Is it an offer of a free trial that's getting clicks? We then start to work out how much we're spending on these ads to how much revenue we're creating. From here, we can create what we call a return on ad spend. So we're starting to work out the percentages, and we're starting to use numbers and facts and data as true indications of what's working best for our clients. And it's just a great way of understanding, it's just a good way of getting the best return on what we're doing, and just show our clients that this is the best way of approaching our content. This is the best advert we should be using. Let's use it because it's working, it's getting better numbers, it's getting better engagement, and overall it's doing the job they want. Cool, and that's my talk regarding STEM. As you can see, I wanted to steer it away from the traditional aspects of science, tech, engineering, and mathematics. Marketing is a very creative world, and in a way, we don't realize that we use these aspects of science, tech, engineering, mathematics in a day-to-day process. So if anyone's out there and wanting to learn more about it and what we do in terms of marketing and at Friel, please head on over to our website, frielgood.com, where you can get a better understanding of what we do, the sort of clients we work with, and just to see what we do as a marketing agency. And it's good fun as well. Yeah, I'd like to open it up to any questions if anyone's got any out there.
Thank you, Tom. Brilliant talk, and just showing you how all the different aspects fit together was really interesting. We haven't got any questions on the chat just yet, but I wanted to ask you, what's your average day like?
What's my average day? So I first off do a bit of media monitoring. So I have a group of clients that I work on behalf of. I manage their accounts. So I am responsible for the campaigns they've created. I'm responsible for just the spend, anything they do in terms of marketing, be it pay-per-click. So if they want to be at the top of Google, I'm responsible for that. If they want to be in the press, in the papers, the digital PR, I'm responsible for that. So yeah, it's quite a mixed bag really. No day's the same. It's quite strange, but that's what's so good about it. It's not uniform. It's one day we're focusing on getting us in the press and reaching out to journalists. One day it's about what we can do to create a nice new campaign for our clients. So as much as I'd like to give you a straightforward answer, unfortunately there isn't. It's just so varied. So that's why I love it.
Good. I think a variety, working on a variety of different things is really interesting. Yeah. Somebody has asked, who are the clients you work for? Are you allowed to tell us that?
Yeah, certainly. Why not? So I'll give an overview. We work initially, so my boss, Claire, is from a construction background. So we have a lot of construction companies that we currently work for. but we are looking to more e-commerce platforms now and a lot more sort of e-commerce websites. So we've just recently brought on a flooring company, which is a world away from construction. But again, we look at what they want as an objective. So theirs is sales, theirs is more website users, theirs is a frictionless process from looking at a new product to purchasing it. So it's completely different. It's a world away from what we're doing currently, but yeah, it's a mixed bag. I can't really give you names, I'm afraid, but yeah, there's all manner of different industries we've got our fingers in. So it's good fun.
The same school has asked, can you help students get into work experience? I guess what sort of size organisation is it?
So we're only a year old. There is currently only 5 of us at Friel at the moment. But in terms of any sort of work experience, if you wanted to head to the website, there's a contact form in there. Please feel free. I mean, Claire, my boss, is very much an advocate of just not seeing what someone's more theoretical personality is. It's more about practical. And if you're willing and engaged and want to get involved, she'd be more than happy to have a chat with you. And myself as well, we'd happily just sort of sit down and discuss what people want to do and how they can help. And if they're into creativity, because creativity is hard to put together, it's a hard thing to display and show. It's all well and good having a GCSE or an A level, but it's hard to show someone's creativity. So yeah, just reach out to us, have a chat, and we'd be more than happy to get you on the right path.
Just to add to that, there are lots of opportunities for virtual work experience at the moment. So if you haven't heard about that, it's definitely worth searching. There's a lot of local organisations and national organisations that now offer virtual work experience, and you can apply to do that, and you do it from your home, and you'll get a project brief, and you do it over the course of a week. So that's something we sort of promote to schools as well. So that's definitely worth thinking about, because I think at the moment some schools aren't allowing students out to go and do work placements in situ. So it's worth looking at virtual work experience. A couple of people said, what GCSEs do you need to get into marketing, and what degree did you do to get into marketing?
What GCSEs do you, to be honest, I don't think there's any real set GCSEs for marketing. I think creativity. If you've got a creative brain and you're just willing to get involved and try new things, maybe an IT GCSE wouldn't go amiss. We use a lot of tech, but not to say that's important. It's you can learn on it. You can learn on the job in a way. I myself, I had media studies. I was massively into my media studies at school. I did that as my degree, actually, funny enough, to answer the second question as well. I knew I wanted to do something in media. I just didn't know what it was. I did actually some work experience for a radio station during my degree, and I just loved, because initially, as you can tell, I'm probably not the best and most eloquent talker, but I wanted to get into broadcast media. Probably wasn't the right thing for me or the right direction, but I really enjoyed the social media aspect and the marketing, and that sort of having a relationship with the people that you talk to in a way and building a community. They already sort of had a community built from the music they offered. So it was just nice interacting, engaging with people, and also setting up campaigns to help them reach even bigger audiences. So yeah, again, not a definitive answer, I'm afraid, on that sense. But do
you think, does everybody have a degree when they go into marketing? Do you think most people would have a degree?
Not necessarily, no. I think that attitude's changed a lot. From when I was at university, it was very much you get the degree, then you go into the first job, but it's not as linear as that. It's about your tenacity and the way in which you want to get involved. If you're more than willing to get involved, that's all it takes really in marketing. And it's just thinking differently. If you can think creatively and think differently, you'll fly.
Okay, thank you. What's the starting salary, somebody's asked? And I guess that depends on what kind of job you do within marketing, does it?
Yes. So that is varied. Usually if you were to go in at what we call an entry level or a junior executive, so this person sort of has a broad overview of marketing, you're looking around, from my perspective, it's about 18 to 20,000 pounds a year, which is quite a sensible amount, but it's one of those ones where over time, once you start to learn more about the marketing principles, once you start showing that you can do what you can do in terms of the creative aspect, it's then reviewed, and eventually you'd be bumped up to an account manager, hopefully director, and hopefully open your own marketing agency in the future. Who knows? It's one of those ones. But yeah.
You mentioned tenacity. What other personal attributes do you think are useful if you're going into something like marketing?
Thinking outside the box, I think, is a key one. Marketing is hard because you come up with an idea and it sort of needs to be different to what's already out there. You can take inspiration, but it needs to be fresh, and ideas need to be original in a way. So yeah, I'd say originality and thinking outside the box, definitely two core key ideas.
Thank you. So we're getting towards 10 past 10 now. So if there are any other questions, now is the time to put them into the chat, because we'll be wrapping up in a second. But I just want to thank you. Oh, somebody said, what price do you charge clients?
Ooh,
we're getting really into the nitty gritty now, aren't we?
That is, oh gosh, that is a very hard question, because it really does depend on what they need. I mean, we always have a sit down, like I say, we have our workshops with our clients, and we just sort of work out what they want. If it's a case of more sales, we will create a proposal which will help them for that. If it's about getting more sales, but also enhancing their online community, that's a hard one. Again, I can't answer that question. I feel awful now because I haven't really answered many, but
no,
it really does depend on what you want and what you need. So that's one of them.
And somebody said, how much would a billboard advert cost?
Ooh. Actually, to be fair, my realm was more digital, so I actually, again, wouldn't.
I guess it depends where they are, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, yeah, the more foot traffic heavy places like Piccadilly Circus, you're probably very expensive that end. I don't know, maybe a roundabout in Ipswich, you'd be okay. But no, that's a tough one. It depends on what, like I say, depends how busy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Somebody's asked about YouTube adverts as well and the cost of those. But again, I guess it depends on who you're linking it to.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very cost-effective marketing method. So that would fall within pay-per-click, because pay-per-click around Google, it's all part of their Google platform. So Google owns YouTube. So any sort of ad you run, you can select where you want to place it. So if someone's searching, like myself, I like to try and do DIY at home. I'm terrible at it, but I'll watch some YouTube tutorials. So the other day I had to redo some bit of guttering on our conservatory, and I would look at a YouTube video, but before it I had an advert for B&Q. So obviously they've got the right audience, they've got people at the right search term, and idiots like me that can't properly do it, they'll give me a bit of guidance and show me the things I really need to get to do it. So no, that's actually a great point around YouTube adverts. It's a great untapped market currently at the moment, and it's getting bigger, but the bigger it gets, the more expensive it gets. So it's better to get in quicker, earlier, and just test it and trial it, see if it works for your client.
Somebody has also asked, how has COVID-19 affected you? So has it affected your business at all?
So I joined Friel actually post COVID-19. But I mean, it was a hard time for everyone, I think. It was sort of a weird time of uncertainty. No one really knew what they were doing. But the big thing was, and I found interesting, was that marketing was sort of seen as we don't really need that. That's fine. Like we'll just hunker down for a couple months. But what I've seen work is that those that were really invested in theirs are now reaping the benefits, because post-COVID, when there's sort of, dare I say, a bit of normality, people have the structure in terms of Google rankings have changed. So clients are now flying up to the top because people aren't keeping their bid. They're now pausing it completely. So they've gone from the bid. So there's multiple times I've seen it for like hotel brands and companies. There's certain ones, I again can't give the names, but the fluctuation in changing of where they've been listed has changed massively, because some people thought that COVID was going to massively affect them, but in a way they sort of needed to keep their marketing just so they stayed on their client's brain or their customer's brain, so that when everything again got back to normal, they were the first ones they went to. So it's all about sort of doing it correctly. But I mean, from our perspective at Friel, it was okay. I mean, we, like I say, a lot of construction companies at the time, so there was thankfully, a lot of help from the government around the whole build perspective. So there wasn't a case of us sort of losing out on this sort of thing, but there were a lot of people that were affected, sadly. But yeah, it's about persevering through it all and hopefully seeing some normality soon.
I guess with something like this, it sort of disrupts everybody really, but whilst there are things that sort of stop happening, there's a lot of opportunities as well.
Exactly.
So somebody has asked in the chat, how do you go about putting an advert up, i.e. what is the process?
Okay, so from a social media paid aspect, we would use Facebook Business Manager. So this sits alone. So usually you have just your usual profile. We look after a company page, and within a company page, it sits within a business manager. And this is like, it's the hierarchy of everything we have in terms of their pages. Within that, we can set an advert up from their perspective. So it's all about the first part we have is building a campaign. So we look at their objective. Is it getting people engaged on a post? Is it sending people to a website? Is it getting people to purchase on a Facebook shop catalog, for example? We choose that. We then select our audience. So if we can do a radius targeting around Suffolk and Norfolk, for example, where a lot of our clients are based, we can then look at the demographic by gender, by age. We've worked on behalf of some property companies in the past. So we look at people that are interested in first-time buyer grants, or people that are interested in pages such as Zoopla and Rightmove. We start to narrow it down. So we start very broad and we start to narrow it until we've got our ideal client. Once we've got that, we then say how much we want to bid. We can either do this on a cost per click basis. So if they click our ad, we're costed for that. Alternatively, we can let Facebook automate it with an overall budget over a certain period of time. So we've got the bid, we've got the audience, we then create the advert, and that's where we get the creative process. So we'll create one advert, we'll call it ad 1, we'll then save it, create ad 2, create ad 3, create ad 4, and that's when we bring in the process of our mathematics. So we start to work out which one's best. We do an A/B split test and saying, hey, this one that puts in the offer compared to this one that has no mention of the offer is doing so much better. Let's pause that one and put more of our bid behind that one. So that's the process for.
Yeah, so it's being very reactive to what's actually happening as it happens, really.
That's it. We're monitoring our adverts. I mean, I jump on it pretty much every morning. I just want to check in, see everything's running okay. Look at the bid budgets. Is it too high? Let's ramp it down, and just ensuring that our clients getting the most return on their investment.
And somebody has asked, and this is probably going to be the final question, what is the best type of advertisement for a smaller business?
For a small business, to be fair,
is it different? I guess the budget's going to be different.
Well, that's it. I mean, it really depends on how smart you are with sort of targeting. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go down the paid route just yet. I think the best thing to start off would be just to sort of engage with the current conversation. I mean, if you go on Twitter, you can look at hashtags for certain conversations. Likewise, LinkedIn as well. So I think I'd start with a more organic approach, just to sort of get your brand out there to the right people and start engaging with the right audience, and then eventually look to bring in a smart targeted campaign, which can then get in front of people who don't follow you. So yeah, it's all about starting smart. It's not a case of spend on ads. It's about engaging and just building a community first.
That's brilliant. Tom, thank you very much. I think that was a fascinating insight, and I hope that everybody you've been a bit surprised maybe about some of the jobs and things that a marketing agency might do. And you can sort of see how all different aspects of STEM are included in that, as well as obviously communication skills and that kind of thing, which is obviously really important, and understanding who you're trying to market to and understanding your audience. So thank you very much for the session today, and thank you everybody for joining us. If you've got any questions for Tom afterwards, do email us, drop us a line. We'll be sending out some evaluations also so that we get to find out what you think and how you've enjoyed today's session. So I hope you have enjoyed it. I certainly found it fascinating. So thanks everybody for joining us, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.